Right now on Hoosier News Source, a violent hate crime in Bloomington.
And an update on the death of an IU student, Avery McMillan. From Bloomington, you're watching Hoosier News Source.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier News Source. I'm Carson Johnson.
And I'm Ashton Hackman. The Asian Culture Center on campus issued a statement after an Asian student was stabbed in a racially motivated attack this past week. An 18-year-old IU student was stabbed by 56-year-old Billy Davis on a city bus. Davis has been charged with attempted murder, aggravated battery, and battery with a deadly weapon. The Asian Culture Center responded to the attack with a statement saying, quote, "We are outraged and heartbroken by this unprovoked act of violence, but we also worry for the well-being of our community. We should not fear for our lives on public transportation. Taking the bus should not feel dangerous," end quote. IU President Pamela Whitten and Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton have also issued statements condemning the attack.
On Sunday, an IU sophomore posted a TikTok about facing transphobic and homophobic harassment in their dorm on campus. Now, millions of views later, Declan Farley continues to share his story. HNS reporter Ella Rhoades tells us more.
Declan Farley knows hate all too well. He transferred from his school in St. Louis because of the harassment he faced.
One of the main reasons that I picked IU was because it was such a safe school for LGBTQ+ students, and then coming here and experiencing this, I was like, that was my main reason for coming here.
After trying to seek refuge at IU, he quickly faced hate again on the floor of his dorm. For months, his floor mates harassed him outside his door, so when no one took action after reporting several incidents, Farley took to the power of TikTok.
It started with banging on my door and running away, then turned into yelling slurs outside of my door. Not only that, but they have dumped food and put trash outside of my door. Most recently, I witnessed someone licking the outside of my door while I was inside.
I didn't post that for the views, for the likes, for the follows. I literally posted it because, and I saw the comments, a lot of people have dealt with the same thing at IU. People have left. I had people reaching out to me saying, my friend dealt with the same thing and took his own life.
With over 1 million views later, Farley has finally seen a response. Sunday evening, the Residential Programs and Services Administration held a meeting with the floor discussing the previous incidents.
I literally researched top schools for LGBTQ+ or trans students, and IU was one of the highest ones, and that baffles me because of all that I've heard now, and I definitely think it's based on what the resources they have, not what they do.
I'm making this TikTok to spread awareness about the homophobia and transphobia on IU's campus. IU prides themselves on being a safe and open space for queer students, yet ignores issues like these.
Since the meeting, IU PD filed a police report for the harassment.
It's important for students to feel safe on campus, no matter who you are, not even LGBTQ+ students. Like, this is for everyone.
Ella Rhoades now joins us in studio with Declan Farley to share their story. Ella.
Thanks, guys. Declan, we really appreciate you coming out on the show today and talking about your video that you made and just all that you've been experiencing here at IU. Thanks so much again for coming on.
No problem.
But to start out with, at what point did you decide enough is enough, I'm going to post this on social media?
Yeah, it kind of just came as like a rash decision. I was just thinking about our floor meeting that we were going to be having on Sunday night. I posted the video on Saturday, and I was just thinking about how long it took them to make that floor meeting, even after we had been discussing this since October. So I think that night I was just thinking about how long it had taken, and I decided, you know, I'm gonna take this to social media. I feel like a lot of other kids have been dealing with this. I actually spoke to one of my friends. They said I dealt with something really similar, nothing was done, and so I just felt like social media needed to do its thing.
Yeah, and your video details the harassment that you experienced in your dorm and on your floor, but if you could share just kind of what you felt in those moments and what you feel now looking back at what happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I kind of felt a little bit just unwelcomed. At first, I thought it was just some silly joke, you know, banging on the door, running away. I was like, haha, so funny. And then it happened every day for almost a month. And then it happened sporadically after that. And so I have pretty bad anxiety, so having someone bang at your door at 3 a.m. is kind of anxiety inducing. So I definitely just felt unwelcomed. I didn't know anyone on the floor. No one ever talked to me. I would, you know, offer things in the group chat, you know, and so just having no one reach out to me, no one want to talk to me, definitely just felt like I didn't have a community, especially on my floor.
And this started in August, and it went all the way through up to the start of this semester, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So the first incident was actually the first night we were at school before classes started. It was move-in day, and yeah, there was an incident that happened, and so I kind of, like I said, thought it was a little bit of a joke, and then it kept happening. So about a month later, I reported it to my RA, and then things kind of started to be talked about, but we didn't have our floor meeting until January 15th.
And did your RA ever mention as to why, you know, that meeting didn't take place sooner, why this wasn't sooner addressed, or did the RA refer you to anybody like IU administration?
Oh yeah, so I talked to the director of my building, the graduate advisor of my building, and also the bias report office. I was told that we didn't have the meeting sooner because of lack of communication, is what they said, or miscommunication between the RA and the director of my building and the bias report office, which I think is honestly just unacceptable in terms of the length of how long it was going on and the seriousness of the situation.
For sure. And so, based on your video, have like the RA said anything since? What did they say to you at that meeting on Sunday?
They expressed a lot of support. My RA, the director, and the bias report office expressed a lot of support, but also I could tell there was a little bit of animosity based on the video. During our meeting, they mentioned how, you know, the news will be here tomorrow, and how do we feel about such a bad reputation on the floor, which honestly I felt was unnecessary to say, because it kind of felt like it put a target on me with the other students being angry that now our floor has such a bad reputation. So I definitely feel a little bit of frustration towards that. For sure, I understand their frustration as far as, you know, the dealing with the situation and having this go so viral. However, if it was handled the correct way, I wouldn't have even had to post the video.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you want other trans students or other LGBTQ plus students at IU or just around the world to know?
I definitely want them to know that no matter if your university does not support you or doesn't express support, you have the support of hundreds of people online, including me, and whether or not we even know you, we support you, and your issues matter, and your life matters. You know, in October, I felt like my life didn't matter because of all of these issues, so I didn't want anyone else to feel that way, so I want everyone to know that their life matters, and no matter if anyone's hating on them, if anyone's, you know, harassing them, just know that their life matters just as much as mine does.
And since your video, has the hate gotten better? Have you not seen as many instances where you feel that you're being harassed in any sort? Have you felt more support from the IU community since posting the video?
Oh, absolutely. So not only the IU community and the community on TikTok, I received a lot of support from students on my floor. There was a majority of the students on my floor that had no idea this was even happening, besides things that were put in the group chat when I asked them to stop. And so I definitely received a lot of support. People have been coming and visiting me. I've made a couple friends because of this. And so I definitely feel like I have a better support system. So not only was I hoping with the video to express how I was feeling, but also hoping to gain a community and build a community, not only for myself, but for other queer students on campus. So, and the harassment has stopped as of right now. I haven't received anything else. And so I'm hoping that the floor meeting, and especially the publicity that I got, will hopefully deter students from wanting to, you know, do any of these things, especially because at the meeting they talked about consequences and what would happen if they found out who it was.
Yeah, for sure. And your video's gotten a lot of views. Over 1 million views at this point. I haven't checked recently, but last time I checked, it was still pretty high. And even Dylan Mulvaney, a really popular transgender social media influencer, she commented on your video. She's done interviews with President Biden before on legislation for transgender policy. What does it mean to see her watch your video and comment on it?
It means the world to me. I've been watching Dylan's journey for so long, and she is such an inspiration to me because recently she's been getting a lot of hate online and by, you know, Republicans in legislature just hating on her. And so the fact that she's still able to go and be herself and, like I said, meet with the president and just keep posting, and that really keeps me going, and she's a big inspiration for me. And so seeing her comment just made me realize, wow, like even people who don't know me and who have millions of followers still care about me. And so it just makes me realize that people are just so amazing, and the support on TikTok is just amazing. I'm really happy with how it turned out, especially not only, you know, getting the publicity and, you know, hopefully holding IU accountable, but also, you know, having a good support system and hearing that I'm not alone in this. I've had a lot of people reach out and say, you're not alone, you know, come over anytime. I got invited to have, you know, broccoli cheddar soup on Saturday, so it's just interesting and it's amazing.
For sure. And finally, what do you want to tell Indiana University?
I want to tell them that they need to really step it up. You know, we as a university are one of the top schools for LGBTQ+ students. That's actually why I decided to come here. And so if you're going to claim to be inclusive and diverse, you need to be inclusive and diverse. You know, a couple of my friends are RAs and they skipped over the LGBTQ+ discrimination training. They just skipped over the slides, and that is unacceptable. No matter what they're skipping over any part of training, especially when it's about discrimination, is unacceptable. And so I definitely want them to think about this and think about what they can do. And I would love to meet with someone, especially higher up in the IU administration, and talk to them about how I've been feeling. You know, hopefully they'll see this and want to reach out to me, because I just love to be able to share my story and express to them how much, you know, getting to talk to them would mean to me and getting to make some real change. And I really want students to feel safe.
Well, thank you so much, Declan, for coming in and sharing your story. We really appreciate it here. And we did reach out to the university, and this is what they did say in response: a statement from Vice Provost for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Dave O'Gwyn. We are deeply committed to maintaining an inclusive and safe campus for all students. Protecting students' privacy is always a top priority, so we cannot speak to specific student matters. However, we strive to respond to any report of bias and harassment with a robust process to address reported incidents and behaviors. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Ella. Police recently used DNA to charge the suspect in the rape of an IU student with another rape from 2021. Ellisville police charged Eric Montgomery with rape after using DNA to link him to a case from August 2021 when a woman came forward saying her next-door neighbor raped her. He is also facing charges of rape and giving alcohol to a minor in the case of IU student Avery McMillan. McMillan died on August 17th after deputies responded to a call stating she was unresponsive but were unable to revive her.
As the IU Panhellenic community concluded the recruitment process this past week, they also announced a new emergency health fund. In order to alleviate health costs for their members, PHA is encouraging their members to apply for the emergency health fund to cover any physical, spiritual, and emotional emergency health care. They said, quote, "We believe no member of our community or college student at all should have to choose between essential health care services or their status as a student," end quote. Every semester, PHA will put $5,000 toward the fund.
Clever thieves continue to wreak havoc on drivers around the area by stealing and selling catalytic converters. Criminals target the converters for their precious metals that can be sold to scrappers and buyers for hundreds of dollars, many hitting cars in the middle of the night. There are some steps you can take, however, to thwart wannabe thieves from targeting your car. Experts say to know if your particular make and model of vehicle is a popular target for criminals. Toyota Prius from any year are especially popular. You can also install an anti-theft device on the converter. Many online retailers sell them, and many car shops have an installation help for a nominal fee. Experts also say you should also paint your catalytic converter using a fluorescent paint and mark it with your vehicle identification number, which could help make it traceable. Other ways to stay on top of the issue is to install cameras and check your car insurance policy. Not all plans cover damages and expenses from theft. Now for the latest on this week's weather, and it has been considerably warm for the month of January. Kayla Craig is here to tell us what to expect. Kayla.
Thanks, Ashton. Today we'll stay in the mid to upper 40s, warming up as we go into the evening. Those rising temps are likely to bring some rain showers this afternoon and overnight. Let's have a look at this weekend's game day forecast. This Sunday, IU takes on Michigan State at Assembly Hall. It'll be a chilly morning, heading to the game with some precipitation chances most of the day. Snow and rain are both possible depending on the temp, so it might be wise to bring a rain jacket if you're going to the game. Let's see what to expect for the rest of the week. Tomorrow it'll be a little warmer and we'll have some showers early in the day, but the warmth won't last for long. This weekend, temps will drop compared to what we've seen for the rest of the week. Snow and rain are both possible, and rain chances will continue into next week. Stay safe and have a great week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. Coming up on Hoosier News Source, an Indiana abortion lawsuit finally heads into court hearings.
And a grant for local businesses that aims to improve efficiency. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Carly Rasmussen joins us in studio with the latest on international news. Carly?
Thanks, Ashton and Carson. The war in Ukraine continues as rescue workers attempt to find survivors of a Russian missile strike. The attack happened at an apartment complex in the city of Dnipro. Ukrainian officials say that at least 40 people, including multiple children, were killed in the attack, with nearly twice as many suffering injuries. More than 25 remain missing. Serhiy Shova is a squad commander of an emergency crew. He said, quote, "Only the dead are left. It is unlikely there are any chances to find people alive," end quote. Funerals for the dead will begin this week. The UK government has blocked a new law to allow trans people in Scotland to change their legal gender without a medical diagnosis. With the current system, trans people must jump through many hoops to change their gender marker in legal documents. To make the change, they must have a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria, a condition defined by the distress caused between a discrepancy between a person's body and their gender identity. The bill was an effort to change the standard. According to Westminster, they wanted to protect it from having overarching impact on UK-wide equality laws. Trans rights groups refute this justification from officials. And 68 people were killed on Sunday when an aircraft went down near Pokhara, Nepal. This is the country's deadliest plane crash in 30 years. 72 people were on board of the ATR-72 plane operated by Nepal's Yeti Airlines when it crashed. The plane was last in contact with Pokhara Airport around 10:50 a.m. local time. The pilot was permitted for a change of runway minutes before it attempted to land on Sunday. A 5-member committee has been formed to investigate the cause of the crash, and they must submit a report to the government within 45 days, according to Nepal's Deputy Prime Minister and government spokesperson, Bishnu Patel. And that's what's going on around the world. Guys, back to you.
Over the summer, an Indiana doctor performed an abortion procedure on a 10-year-old Ohio rape victim. Across the nation, Americans heard about the case as it happened weeks after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita said Dr. Caitlin Bernard violated privacy laws. Bernard filed a countersuit against the Indiana Attorney General for wrongly justifying the investigation. Now, Indiana's Medical Licensing Board will hear Dr. Bernard's case in February.
IU sophomore Conor Wright has thrown his hat into the ring as a candidate for City Council in Bloomington's 3rd District. If elected, Wright would be the first IU student to serve on Bloomington's City Council in 50 years and would represent constituents from Stadium Crossing, Woodbridge, and the College Mall area. Wright has made it clear that he thinks having young representation on Bloomington's City Council is essential and stresses the importance of voting in local elections.
Local elections are very, very important. If you can think of any number of issues that have annoyed you when you're in Bloomington, whether it's trying to find an apartment to live in, whether it's complaining about the bus system not being so good, or you miss the bus and you're stuck at Will's Library for 30 minutes, or whatever it is, local elections can solve those problems and help alleviate those problems.
In the upcoming election, Wright challenges Bloomington resident Brett Heinisch and incumbent council member Ron Smith. To get involved or learn more, you can pay a visit to ConorForBloomington.com. Local businesses and nonprofits here in Bloomington can now apply for a new grant with the city to cover costs for building efficiency. The Solar Energy Efficiency and Lighting Program will provide up to $25,000. The application opens January 18th and will award applicants on a rolling basis. Organizations can apply to enter an energy efficiency program or a solar program. The city has partnered with local companies to install the new technology. According to the Bloomington Department of Economic and Sustainable Development, one of the highest sources of emissions in Bloomington are buildings' electricity emissions.
Helping through this program reduce emissions, reduce environmental impacts, reduce people's utility bills, create a benefit for the public, and also, help support the mission of small businesses and nonprofits.
There will be an information session for applicants on January 18th, and for those who can't make it, they can visit bloomington.in.gov to watch a video from the meeting. Indiana lawmakers started the year with the new turn signal law in an effort to protect drivers and ease the environment for law enforcement. House Enrolled Act 1167, sponsored by Representative Jim Pressel, mandates that motorists signal before lawfully making a lane, turn, or change. This change is in replacement of the previous rule that required all motorists to use a turn signal at a specific distance before turning. Lawmakers feel that law enforcement can focus on regulating safer driving rather than specific distances. A new IU Health Hospital in downtown Indianapolis is now set to cost over $4 billion to build. The 16-story high-rise facility will consolidate the surrounding Methodist and University hospitals. It will feature 3 patient towers as well as 2 helipads. The hospital was originally estimated to cost $1.6 billion, but that number rose to $2.3 billion after officials decided to increase patient capacity to 864 beds. The cost of the hospital, along with surrounding facilities, will be a whopping $4.3 billion. The construction is projected to be finished in the fourth quarter of 2027.
Winter sports are in full swing with Indiana men's and women's basketball. Samantha Condra now joins us for the latest on IU athletics. Samantha?
Thanks, Ashton. There were a ton of exciting games here in Bloomington during the first week of students being back on campus. Let's get right into it. Starting off, the men's basketball team was home against number 18 Wisconsin this past Saturday. We're coming off a 3-game losing streak. Thanks to both Trace Jackson Davis and Jordan Geronimo's double-double performances, the Hoosiers walked away with an 18-point win to get the season back on track. Next, they'll test their recent road struggles this week as they travel to Illinois. Now on to the women's basketball team. They continue to roll, beating 9th-ranked Maryland on Thursday and having 4 different players score in double digits. On Sunday, they took on Wisconsin in front of the largest regular season crowd in Indiana women's basketball history and won by a 36-point margin. The number 6-ranked Hoosiers improved to 16-1 on the season and will also travel to Champaign this week to play number 21 Illinois. That will do it for this week's IU Sports News. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Samantha, and thank you for watching this week's episode of Hoosier News Source.
For more information on this week's stories, check out iustv.com.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV News.
I'm Ashton Hackman.
And I'm Carson Johnson. From Bloomington, Indiana, we'll see you next time.